This is Friday Night Lights with Tim O'Brien. Brought to you by Honda of the Desert.
Thanks for joining us tonight on Friday Night Lights, sponsored by Honda of the Desert. We hear you, Tim O'Brien, along with Tali Latoy. Just one Valley team left tonight in the CIF Southern Sectional Playoffs. It was the Blackhawks. They came off their big 61-47 win over Granite Hills last week, looking to keep that momentum going. We mentioned you put up 61 points in any part of the season, you're not going to lose a game.
Exactly.
It was something that they needed to do to keep up with Laguna Beach tonight. We saw that firsthand. Let's get right into that first half action. It was the Blackhawks taking the field, of course, with each player holding an American flag. It is Veterans Day after all. Of course, thank you to those who serve our country and who have in the past. Now, Blackhawks quarterback Tommy Anza, they're getting loose. The team only going to go as far as him with his legs and his arms, and then, of course, American flags with each player during the anthem tonight. Right into the action. Laguna Beach with the ball early in the first quarter. It's Jackson Collick who connects with wideout Jackson Rodriguez. We call it Action Jackson at Blackhawk Stadium. Let's watch it again at a different angle. You can see where Collick just steps back. An absolute cannon for 40-plus yards. Finds Rodriguez in the end zone in stride. Touchdown. Breakers, 7-0 after the extra point. Now, ensuing kickoff, McCorey Wilson with a nice spin to put La Quinta in good field position. He actually got a ooh out of the crowd when he did a little spin move. Later in that drive, Ansley finds Wilson to move the change. You're going to see here he steps back and finds McCorey Wilson in the middle of the field again. This would keep the drive going. Breakers would hold them, though, from the end zone. And then he would get Ansley would kick a field goal, 7-3 Breakers. That's Blackhawks head coach Juan Ruiz. Done a great job, fine job all season. Focused, evaluating adjustments needed in the second half. This is the big play of the first half, though. Blackhawks with the ball in the second quarter on fourth down. Shotgun formation, triple sets outside. Tommy Ansley finds Isaiah Alvarado. Here's the other angle. The dump off for 16 would take it into the end zone. And you see there, 14-10 Laguna Beach. Next series, though, for the Breakers, it's Collick again, this time with his legs. Scampers to the outside and just takes it himself for the quick six, dives into the end zone. The Breakers would take a 21-10 lead. But the La Quinta Blackhawks, they had a lot of fight in them in the first half. Tommy Ansley would step back and fire to the back of the end zone and connect with who else? McCorey Wilson again. La Quinta would miss the extra point, but it was 21-16. Now, final minute, you needed to stop from the Blackhawks, but Jackson Collick to Jackson Rodriguez again in the front of the end zone, deflating Blackhawk Stadium at that point in time. The Breakers would head into the half at 28-16. Jackson Collick, he had 287 yards in the air in just the first half, Tali.
In the air only, and we saw it with his legs as well. Like, it's incredible to watch him, the arm on him.
It's the single best quarterback I have seen all season out here, whether it was in the Coachella Valley, outside of the Valley, and he's only a sophomore.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I know we say that about Aaron Ramirez, who is also just a sophomore here, but that's insane to watch him tonight. Now, the first half, we saw them go back-to-back, but in the end, the Blackhawks were still down. So we got to talk to fans and a parent of one of the players about what this moment meant for this team to be the last one standing here in the Valley. Take a listen.
Exciting for us as like Quinta High School. This team, as freshmen, they went undefeated. So to see them all work all 4 years and get here and be the last team standing, it's an amazing feeling. It's great representation of the school, the Blackhawk pride. It's all over the city.
Section's popping, you know.
Really love the community love and support for each other. I know on the field they're not enemies, but they don't, you know, they're rivals. But when we're the last team standing, it's good to see them as a community and support each other.
Battle, so I have a lot of trust in.
All right. Wouldn't be a Friday Night Lights or live TV with some technical difficulties.
Just with that sound, though. But you heard Mrs. Miller right there. She was really proud of him. And Calvin Miller, you know, did a lot of stuff right before the first half, Tim. But a lot of people are really waiting to hear you talk about the second half and how this game ended.
It needed to only go one other way for La Quinta, right? They did battle back and forth in the first half. We're going to get to some of that coming up here on Friday Night Lights. At the second half highlights again, we'll see what adjustments the team made to keep the breakers out of the end zone.
Plus, the stands were packed tonight with fans from all over the Valley coming out to support, and we'll hear from them right after this. Welcome back. Now, Tim, we have 2 leagues here in the Valley, but we have that means that we have a lot of good football players here and definitely some rivalries that we've covered in the past. And last week we started with 6 teams, and that dwindled down to this last team standing. However, that didn't stop anyone from coming out to the game tonight, because in those stands we saw everyone nearly from all walks of life from the Valley tonight. There were parents of players, and then there were families of players from different teams under these Friday Night Lights all coming together, and they told us despite all of those rivalries during the regular season, they want to come out and support these young players no matter what.
You know, at the end of the day, you know, the rivalry or the competitiveness is on the football field, and off of it, a lot of these kids know each other. A lot of these kids play youth football together with each other. And a lot of us know parents and faculty and members of the community. So I think it's very important for us that if we stop playing, that we're here to support one another. We're the Coachella Valley. So believe it or not, when teams from the Coachella Valley go on and prosper and do better, it looks good on the Coachella Valley's football program. You know, that's the end result. You know, we want to see our programs flourish and do better. So that's, you know, my backing on that.
Obviously, the Valley's
So if you were going to hear them, they were talking about the second half, Tim, and, you know, they want to know what happened. A lot of them were very optimistic. They want to see them come out with the dub tonight.
Yeah,
what's it going to be?
La Quinta certainly wasn't going to lay down. I heard our friends at the Desert Sun posted that La Quinta has not won a single league game in the last 2 years. They went 0 in 2020 and 0 in 2021. So that means coming into this season, you've got expectations every year, right? You got to play on the field. But the fact that they were able to actually get a share of it and win the league, now be the only team left in the Valley tonight, they needed to turn things around in the second half. They're that good enough to do so. Unfortunately, Laguna Beach quarterback Jackson Collick, just too much for the Blackhawks defense. The Blackhawks did hang on in that first half, as mentioned. But the second half, all Laguna Beach right out of the gate. Jackson Collick in the shotgun, hands the ball off to that man there. Running back Nick Rogers takes it 66 yards to the house. Set the tone for the second half. Breakers were up 35-16. Later in the second half, Collick shows off his arm one more time, finding action Jackson Rodriguez in the back of the end zone for the jump ball. Rodriguez' 3rd touchdown of the game. That's Collick's 4th pass of the game. It was unbelievable, an unbelievable run. We can't stress it enough for La Quinta this season, so we can only hope their players and coaches did hold their heads high tonight. They certainly deserve to do so. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, being the last team standing to make it to the second round, that still has, and to have it at home in front of the entire Valley, that's super great. But still ahead tonight, Tim, on Friday Night Lights, we'll hear from La Quinta's head coach, Juan Ruiz, and his thoughts from the game as well as this incredible season. We'll be right back after this.
Well, welcome back to Friday Night Lights here on NBC Palm Springs, brought to you by Honda the Desert. We hear you. More on Honda the Desert, by the way, because our buddy Gil has had a couple other obligations. He's a busy man the last few weeks, but he will be back next week. We'll talk about that coming up in just a bit in the show. We were able to catch up with the Blackhawks head football coach Juan Ruiz on the field tonight following their heartbreaking loss at home. This is what head coach Juan Ruiz had to say.
We had opportunities, you know, but this doesn't define our kids. Our kids, you know, they did some great things this year. You know, nobody believed in us, but we believed in ourselves. So, nothing but proud of these guys for what they've done, and it's amazing to see these kids come together and from what they've come from, and you know, it just proves hard work, determination, resiliency, You know, those are all the traits that football teaches, and these kids embraced it this season. Oh, it hurts. Absolutely, it hurts. You know, that's just the way it is. You know, they've put their heart and soul into it, so that's what happens. But this is an experience they will never forget.
Yeah, that's a tough moment right there. It's a heartbreaking time for the entire team, especially these players and those seniors. And we also got to catch up with Tommy Ansley after the game today. Tommy, football Ansley,
That's right.
And an incredible season. Here's what he had to say.
The wins or losses don't define these guys and our team at all. Like, going to battle these guys, you know, we left everything out there. No regrets this season at all. Worked my butt off. No stone left unturned, so it is what it is. Like I said, wins and losses don't define us. So, I mean, I think we feel pretty good. We accomplished a lot of our goals we wanted to this year, but, you know, obviously coming up short right now sucks. But, I mean, we still won league, brought the flag back, and then just gonna miss these guys, man. This is my family.
That's really tough.
You know, it's interesting to hear the message from both the head coach and the quarterback. Clearly, they didn't speak between those two interviews or after the game before Coach met with his team. But the wins and losses don't define us. That was the main takeaway from both of their clips. But, you know, it's interesting. We've seen La Quinta. We've, you know, covered their games this year. And I think Coach Ruiz would agree with me if he hears this, that I've seen them play some really rough games, but they always, that very next week, came back and played some of the best football that we've seen in the Valley. So they were a resilient bunch. What's hard about it at this level, any level, whether it's college, pros, you're never going to have the same team the next year. So this is the very last time that this group of guys that'll play together for the rest of their lives. So that's rough when you put it in that perspective, but what a fun team to watch, man.
No, absolutely. I mean, all year long, I mean, this team really just came from behind and just really, those last two games just really surprised everyone, and here we are.
Quarterback Tommy Ansley, who you just heard from, played on both sides of the ball. Obviously, the quarterback, but the kid can kick. You don't see kicking a whole lot at the high school level. The kid's got a cannon, so
cannon of a leg.
He's going to be okay, whatever he decides to do. We look forward to covering him here in the next sport here in the next couple of weeks. But we'll go ahead and head to break, and then we'll wrap this up on the other side. What an unbelievable season. In the moment, it doesn't seem like it goes fast, but obviously looking at it now, we've had a chance to cover all of the teams and coaches and players. They were so gracious. Myself being new to the Valley, this was kind of your first time really jumping in full time with doing this show. So next week, we're going out with a bang, though. We'll hear from coaches and players from across the Valley to reflect on their seasons. You guys don't want to miss it. That's Tali Latoy. I'm Tim O'Brien. We'll see you next week.